How does a nation feed itself when farmers are not being supported? How are you going to feed everyone?
You won't be able to.
No.
It's going to be an issue here soon because the farmers should be the staple of any country. You need food to survive. You need food to survive. So if you don't have it, think about how it's going to affect your survival rate.
People just did not realize they were thinking about DEI, diversity and inclusion, right? They weren't not thinking about how this would impact everything, and now folks are FAFO and all around, right? They're just
FAFO. Yeah.
all
I think
around.
they're finding out. I think more of the white farmers are finding out how bad black farmers have had it for years. We've dealt with this for years.
Decades. No
discrimination,
funding,
no funding, lawsuits. Then they say they're going to give you some money, then they don't.
Take it back.
And then you go through this. It's been going on for decades. So, it's to the point, it's like, well, I guess you FAFO now. So you see what we've been going through for years.
It's before the inauguration, we got funding, and after. Hi guys, it's Synolve. How are you guys doing? Sure hope you are doing well. I'm joined today by my amazing husband, my special guest. I'm Synolve, and this is
Milton.
This is my hubby, and we're going to talk today about the USDA and about farm loans and how our farm loan was. Before we get started, go ahead and perform all of the rituals that you must perform. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. Get you something to drink. Sit down because it's going to be a ride. I am so excited. Hubby's got his drink. I am so excited. Go ahead and get you a sip. Get you some tea. Get you some water. Hubby's got water on deck. We are on a healthy kick. And we're going to talk about, we're here, of course, as you know, in the United States. And so we're going to talk about, I'm sure you are hearing here in the U.S. and all around the world about what's going on with the USDA and farm loans, farm funding, farm grants. And so we had a farm grant that we applied for. And we're going to share the results. We're going to talk about it. So now, Milton, you have a channel, right?
Yeah, my channel is MiltonCraft Man on a Mission on YouTube. Please take a moment to go by and check me out. I do a lot of stuff regarding personal coaching, self-motivation, and just overall making yourself the best person you can be. So check my channel out and be sure to reach out to me for some consulting, and I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, you talk all things career advice, investing here and investing in Africa and in the Caribbean. You have an MBA. I'm so proud of my bae. I'm so proud of you. And yeah, he's doing some great things over on his channel. So go check him out. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's support. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about it. So there have been several cuts here recently that have been announced to the USDA, and we are, as farmers, feeling the pinch. Hubby and I have done, and I say hubby and I, but hubby is our master farmer, and he's got certifications and training, and he has done urban farming and worked with farming to help people learn to farm.
So I've had lifetime experience when it comes to farming because my grandparents were farmers, and
they were sharecroppers.
They were sharecroppers, and if you don't know what a sharecropper is, it's someone who works on the land but they don't own the land. So they have to work, do the cows, do the crops, do the livestock, and that's how they maintain their ability to stay on the land. But my grandparents were farmers. And so all of that skill and all of those techniques were passed down to all of us. So me and my wife have been doing this since '96. We've been working in that type of industry and teaching our kids the same thing and the importance of learning to grow your own food and how to sustain yourself. Because economic times could have hard times or economic bad times could happen at any time.
Downtime.
So that's why we wanted to talk about what's going on with the USDA and how it's going to affect farmers.
Right, and how it has impacted us in our family. And so we'll also share some ways that you can get involved and you can give. If you'd like to help, we would greatly appreciate the help. We've got some things we want to do here and some things on the continent of Africa and in the Caribbean. So if you guys be so inclined to help, we would greatly appreciate it. Now, question for you. Do you know a farmer? Do you know a farmer? Do you know how you could support a farmer?
Yep. And do you know how to grow your own food?
Do you know how to grow your own food? That's important.
And being connected to a farmer is very important. So if you do know a farmer who's dealing with what we're going to talk about a little bit, what's going on with the USDA, please reach out to them and see how you can support them.
Yeah, that'll greatly help your egg prices for sure. And yeah, especially Black farmers. We've had it tough. There have been so many things that have happened with African American farmers, Black farmers, foundational Black Americans, FBAs. There have been so much that happened over the years, from our lands being burned, being stolen, in some type of indentured servitude in a way, which is called sharecropping. There have been so many things that have happened. Land stolen. We were told, 40 acres and a mule. That didn't quite happen for everyone. And so it's always been sort of just a way that we've had to prop ourselves up. We've had to push forward and push through as Black farmers and legacy farmers to keep going and to keep this industry alive within our own communities. And so here we are.
Here we are.
All right. Now, you had some information about the FDA and how it began and how it started.
So the USDA was founded in 1862 by Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln understood the importance of agriculture, and he felt that agriculture was a very important piece in the economic domestic policy. So he started the USDA, which was started to help farmers to make sure the crops were done properly, and make sure everybody was able to reap a harvest, to make sure that crop was spread throughout the United States. So it was created in order to make sure that things were done correctly. It was done like that for years, but we know now that has totally changed. So one of the biggest things that USDA was known for was giving out farm loans. But what happened was most of the loans didn't go to everyone. It only went to a certain select group of people.
Right.
So 35% of African Americans received loans, and the rest went to others. So that's been a history that has been the forefront for the USDA. You will notice that a lot of Black farmers have been complaining for years, decades, about the unfair treatment from the USDA. So it started out one way, but then as it went on and progressed and changed into something totally different. And there's so many components to the USDA that we're not aware of. A lot of people don't know about, but it affects a lot of things when it comes to produce, food, poultry. The USDA is responsible for maintaining safety regulations,
livestock,
making sure that your farm is up to code, make sure your livestock has been vaccinated. Because when that product is done and processed, where does it go? It goes to most of your local grocery stores. And who eats that product?
We do.
Most of the people in the United States. So when you cut funding for things like that, you have to look at the whole picture. So what you've been seeing is a lot of farmers fussing because they're not getting the money that they're used to getting. They're upset because the money has been cut. So when you cut money, you cut different regulations and processes as well. You don't get the food inspectors. You don't get the folks that go out to farms to check to make sure everything is up to code. So you take a chance on getting effective product. Well, infected product and defective product. And that's passed on to the consumer. So we have to be very careful to pay close attention to when things are getting cut. For Black farmers, we're used to not getting the revenue from the USDA, but now others are facing the same thing and they're not able to deal with it. So it's something to really pay close attention to because it's going to affect us all in the end.
Yeah, it's going to affect us all. I think that when people thought DEI, they saw diversity and they saw inclusion, that they didn't understand the E was for equity, and that equity protects us as American farmers, protects all farmers, protects us from outside pressures, meaning like if during trade. So we have so many countries that are also creating products, growing products, right, raising livestock. So it just gives some sort of precedence or protection for American farmers to make sure that what we're doing is equitable as a nation, so that American farmers don't get left out. So that included non-black farmers, right? For the most part, and they were getting the huge contracts, right? The huge school contracts, the huge trade contracts, as you're seeing, to send their foods, to trade their foods, export their foods to other countries. And I don't think they looked at that. They just thought it was diversity and inclusion.
So one of the biggest cuts that we've all have seen is USAID, because that food came from farmers.
Right.
It came from
American
farmers. They produced all of the food that went to USAID. So now USAID has been cut. So that's no longer in existence. So that stuff that the farmers would usually produce is no longer needed. So that's going to hurt their bottom line. It's going to hurt their workers. It's going to hurt their way of living.
The families,
the communities. You have to look at it from a bigger picture than just right there individually. It's going to affect a lot of people in so many ways. So when you cut one program, there's always another program that's affected. But like I said earlier, it only used to affect the black farmers. Now it's affecting all farmers. And that's becoming a problem. And you're going to see more and more farmers speaking out here soon. They've already started.
Yeah.
But you're going to see more and more speaking out, saying they're losing their farms, their cattle is not well, their crop is not well, their livestock, the insurance is going to go sky high, because that's what they're going to rely on to try to save themselves. But it may happen, it may not. So you have to look at the whole economic scope of this, that it's problematic by cutting the USDA funds.
Yeah, and that includes grants. It includes farm loans. It includes everything from being able to buy seeds to being able to buy equipment.
All of that.
And then the website itself has been scrubbed. And so a lot of the information on protocols for what do you do when a cow or a certain livestock has a certain disease or is experiencing a certain symptom, all that stuff has been scrubbed off the USDA website. And so it's like, what are farmers are wondering, what are they supposed to do?
Yeah, some farmers really don't know how to take care of that. They relied on the people from the USDA to come out and show them, but now they're relying on themselves, and some of them really don't know what to do.
And we don't all know all protocols.
Yeah, so that's going to be a problem, because again, this is the food that goes into the stores and into your schools. So you don't want to send any contaminated product into those environments. So if you don't have the USDA regulating that, you're going to run into these problems. And another thing that is cut, like she said, you get loans, you get grants. A lot of the programs that rely on grants to educate people within communities, to continue to feed people within communities, are being cut. So you've created a food insecurity right there, because they will no longer get that fresh produce. They will no longer be able to get those healthy things that they need to be sustainable. Now you have to rely on going somewhere else and getting something less quality to eat. So when you cut programs, again, you affect so many different things, more than one. Because those community programs were really very important in small rural communities. They relied on those programs.
Right.
Because they needed that healthy produce. That agriculture is something that kept them sustained. So now you've cut that. So you're going to see a lot of more health issues coming out of this, because people are no longer getting the fresh produce that they need in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
How does a nation feed itself when farmers are not being supported? And that's a big question. I want you to sound down below. What happens when a nation isn't able to feed itself? Who starves first? Who is impacted the most? Children, the elderly, the disabled, right? If you don't have, there's even a person who is healthy, if you don't have access to good food, if you don't have access to food at all, what's going to happen? And so you've got a lot of things, moving pieces, tariffs, and you've got a lot of moving pieces. And if you are taxing the foods that are imports that are coming in, you're taxing them so high, right? John Deere tractors, whatever case it may be. And then you're also cutting the funding for the people who are growing the food, your farmers, and who have the livestock, how are you going to feed? How are you going to feed everyone?
You won't be able to.
No.
It's going to be an issue here soon. Yeah. And since she brought up tariffs, you have to realize a lot of food was shipped from the U.S. to other places. Now that's not going to happen because people are not going to pay these high tariffs.
Because the other countries are putting tariffs on us. Yeah. So, right? So now you've got, they didn't just sit by and back and take it like you're saying.
Tariff wars. You got them going on. I don't blame them. I mean, if somebody's pushing you, you're going to push back. Because you got to do what's best for your country. So it's understandable that that's going to happen. Right. That's going to happen. And if it didn't, you think something was wrong. So you have to realize when you make decisions, it's going to impact everyone. When you make decisions, you have to think about the overall impact. There's going to be an impact in so many ways that you haven't thought about. So before you do those type of things, you really have to take time to think about it. Because that decision could cause a lot of problems, a ripple effect across the whole country. So people just need to be mindful of the decisions they make. So cutting the USDA funding is it's something that's going to cause a ripple that we're not even ready for yet. Because when you cut farm money, the backbone of America, you're causing a problem. Because the farmers should be the staple of any country. You need food to survive. You need food to survive. So if you don't have it, think about how it's going to affect your survival rate.
And babies need milk. So you got cows, you got milk, you got
goat milk, cow milk. So you need all of that stuff. So when you affect, again, like we said, the health of the livestock, you affect the health of society. So it's something to really think about.
Yeah. And so I think, like I said, that people just did not realize they were thinking about DEI, diversity and inclusion, right? They weren't not thinking about how this would impact everything. And now folks are FAFO and all around, right? They're just
FAFO all around. I think they're finding out. I think more of the white farmers are finding out how bad black farmers have had it for years. We've dealt with this for years.
Decades. No funding.
Discrimination, no funding, lawsuits. Then they say they're going to give you some money, then they don't.
Take it back.
Then you go through this. It's been going on for decades. So, it's to the point, it's like, well, I guess you FAFO now. So you see what we've been going through for years.
And that's why it's just important not to try to hurt other people. Because the very thing you do to try to, my grandma used to say, and I know your folks used to say it, the ditch you dig for somebody else. Maybe. Right? What boomerangs back on you. And we wish everybody well, but at the same time, it's just reality. You have to want everyone to succeed. It shouldn't be ever about wanting to keep one group or somebody else down. Now we've had we've had multiple kind of interactions with the USDA over the years, so this isn't our first round. But let's talk about this one. Okay. Let's talk about this. Now, we applied for
So in 2024, the last administration did a specialty crop grant for the entire U.S. All farmers had the opportunity to participate.
And apply.
It was like $2.3 billion that was available. So all you had to do was submit your proposal, which is what you're going to grow, how much you're going to grow, and what you think the value of that crop is. So say you were planting tomatoes. How many tomatoes you're going to grow? How much do you think you're going to sell? Just predictions. You didn't have to actually know exactly, but you would just predict what you think you're going to do.
And that's based on, you had to go through and really find numbers from like a university or just qualified numbers. There were certain websites that you could find that information. So
you're not just specific information,
pulling it out of the air.
You're not making it up.
Right. No, you're going on statistics that were previous, that had, from previous years and numbers from previous years.
So everything was available for you to have the accuracy that you needed. Nothing was made up. Like she said, you could go to school websites, you could go to government websites. And all of this information was right there on the site.
And you had to share your sources, where you got it from. And they had to verify them.
Yeah. So we filled out the application. We did the process. We labeled all of our crops. We did everything from A to Z. We even went into the office and filled the form out with the agent there.
And signed it.
It was approved. The agent said, fine, just send us pictures. One of the criteria was, this happened in December. So between December and January, in here where we are in Tennessee, it's cold.
Right.
The ground is frozen. So you
solid.
can't plant anything in the ground. So the other option was show us in seed trays what you're going to grow. So you can put your crops in seed trays and show it to them. This is what I'm going to grow. And that's what we did. So you submit your pictures along with your application. Everything is approved and we're good to go.
Right.
So then here it comes, what, a week later, after we fill out the paperwork, we've been approved, we get this letter.
Well, before then, you got an email.
We got an email saying everything was good to go.
And they were going to approve it, but they were going to approve it at 40%, 5% of 40%. So the total grant was, you're right, 100% of the grant. That's what we were told. But then they came back and said, no, they were going to do it at 5% of 40%. Who is mathing? What math? I mean, the math ain't mathing. Make it make sense.
Right then, it started changing.
It started getting crazy.
What's going on? Because this was 100% funded based on what you submitted. Then you get an email that says we're gonna only fund 40%, 5% of 40% of what you submitted. What the world? Where'd that come from? So it's like, okay, what's going on with these numbers? So you finally let that settle in and say, okay, we don't know what's really going on, so we're just gonna keep rolling. We're gonna roll with it.
We're gonna roll with it.
Roll with it. So it's been approved. Let's see what happens. Maybe they're doing something with the funding. We don't know. So about a week later, we get this letter in the mail from the agency where we sat down with the lady. We filled out the forms. We got it approved. Everything was good to go. So we get this letter in the mail. And what do you think this letter says?
What does it say?
The letter says simply, you are not approved. You will not be able to get funds. You did not qualify for the program.
Right.
And you're like, wait a minute. We got approved sitting in the office. You sent an email saying that we were approved. Now we get a physical letter saying that you're not approved for this program based on da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you serious? That was just really too much to deal with. So, yeah.
I cried.
Yeah, it was like...
I broke down.
It was a little much, and so it's like, what happened? So it's like funding was cut, or you discriminated against certain farmers.
Groups.
We don't know.
We do know.
We can speculate and say,
we do know.
Certain farmers you didn't approve. You only gave to certain farmers. But the kicker to all of it was, shortly thereafter, the USDA funding was froze. So what you thought you were doing to certain groups, it happened to all of them.
Right. Eventually.
So, like she said, the ditch you did for someone else might be the ditch you did for yourself.
Be careful.
So what happened was that funding was
completely cut
across the board. And
so one day before the inauguration and the installation of the new president, we had farm funding. And then after the 21st, right, because this letter is dated February the 7th, after the new president comes in, suddenly DEI, he announces first thing, DEI cuts. And we lose our funding. Right. This was a grant. We immediately lost our funding.
Yep.
Before the inauguration, we got funding, and after.
You put that together.
Yeah. How that's working out.
So think about it. You're still cutting farmers. You're still doing it, and you don't see
the impact
that you're creating. So we were upset, but we move on.
We're gonna make it.
We're gonna make it. We're survivors. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what you said, I thought was so important, and that was just a little bit after Black farmers started getting these letters that they were being denied because it was all our people on Facebook, farmers we knew, they were starting to get these letters of their programs, if they felt like they were DEI or if they were African American or whatever, if they felt like this was inclusion, they started getting these letters.
Yep.
And then shortly after, the funding for the entire USDA
was cut.
Right. And offices, USDA, NRCS
offices were a lot of them were closed.
Yeah. And talk about what the NRCS does.
So the NRCS is a conservation resource agency which comes out to help farmers with their land. Say that you have a pond and the banks are eroding. and it's spilling water out through your whole farm. They will come out and figure out ways to help that from happening. So they'll help you develop a way to stop that, and they will build the reservoir up to the level where it needs to be in order to be sufficient. So they help create things to make your farm more sustainable. So if you have trees, say you have trees blocking 3 or 4 acres of your farm, they'll cut those trees down, and you can sell that lumber to make money for your farm as well. And then you have more farming space. So when you cut that funding, you cut those special resources that they offered. You cut out them coming out to help you survey your land to find better ways to be more sustainable.
Conservative.
You cut out ways for them to come out and say, hey, look, let's remove these trees, and you've got 10 more acres of growing space. But that's now gone because you cut those offices. And I think some of them went to work on Friday and were fired on Friday.
Yeah.
And they didn't know, but some of them
15 minutes, 20 minutes to get out.
Some of them took to social media and said they were just shocked because, like, nobody told them, and which is not fair. And I think
it's not right.
They were hurt when they had a right to be hurt. But you still hurt the farmers who needed that assistance with making sure their farms were sustainable and up to code. So you have to look at the whole big picture.
You have to look at the whole big picture because it was also very much with the USDA FAFO moment because, you've been doing this to Black farmers for decades, right? We had applied for a farm loan.
A few years back, about 5 or 6 years back, we did apply for a farm loan, and we filled out the paperwork again. We were going through the process. Everything was good to go.
Now, when you fill out that particular farm loan the way and you fill out your farm loan, especially if you're for a first time, you fill it out in the office with the agent. So we filled it out there. So it's not like we're at home and then they don't know what we put on the paperwork and then they have to review it. No, every step of the way you fill it out in the office, and then every step of the way, if there are any questions or any differences, they will ask you right there, call you if they think they need to make changes or say there are changes to the farm loan or farm bill. They'll do that with you.
Yeah. So we were doing that process, going through the steps, completed the paperwork, and everything has a deadline. So we completed in plenty of time to reach the deadline. But our agent felt a need to do something differently. You want to share what happened with them?
Yeah, she let the clock run out. Now, we submitted it a week or two before before the deadline. When we were done, we were completed. And this was another tactic that they do, especially to African Americans. She let the clock run out. And what it means is she goes, oh, oops, oh, well, it hadn't been submitted. So your farm loan has automatically been denied. You really have no recourse because what are you going to
complain to?
Who are you going to tell? Ghostbusters? I mean, what are you going to do? And this is what, there was a lawsuit a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, for Black farmers, but we weren't able to be included because the dates were back in the 80s. And I think our farm loan that we had applied for was in the 2000s. So it didn't extend far enough. But you've had Bush, you've had Reagan, you've had Bush again, you've had Obama, you've had Biden. Nobody has gone into the USDA and FSA and corrected the abuses, the discrimination, all of this stuff. And so it just doesn't make sense really to me that the USDA would even be cut because, I mean, unless, I don't know what the agenda might be because they, have, like Milton said, traditionally just not giving a lot of funding to that's inclusive. Or that's diverse to Black farmers, to Black and brown people. Yeah,
so it was kind of strange when they made the announcement that the USDA was going to be cut. It was like, why?
Yeah.
Who are you trying to hurt with this? You're not going to hurt us.
You won't hurt Black people.
Because we already know. But you hurt other farmers.
Right.
And you didn't think about that before you did it. You thought you were going to do something to hurt somebody else.
To us.
But you hurt yourself. So.
No, ma'am. No, sir.
So when we used to deal with the USDA, it was a headache.
It was
because you never knew how you're going to be treated. You were never treated fairly. And it's because of race, I believe. You were never treated fairly.
Of course, it's race.
Even today, it is what it is. So
here we
funding
are
has
in
been cut.
2025, and you're
2025.
still dealing with this very same thing. You're
Same thing.
dealing with the same old song, the same old thing.
Yep.
Well, you have, done such a great job farming. Let me just say that. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. You
sustained us.
You have sustained us. You've kept us eating. We actually started farming because I got really sick. I got really, really sick in 2015, and with allergies, and I was having so many issues, and the doctors, nobody really knew what was going on with me. I was breaking out in full hives, body hives, and you began to grow our own food.
Yes, because sometimes you don't know what you're getting in the store. You don't know what they're treating it with. You don't know where it's coming from. So you may
Pesticides and
have
all kinds.
something on it that doesn't fit with your body. You have no way of knowing that. I mean, they have ways to track back where the product came from. But if you grow your own food, you know when you planted it, where you planted it, what you put on it or did not put on it, and you watch it watch it grow from seed to harvest. So then you have more control of what you eat. So she asked the question in the beginning, do you know how to grow your own food?
Do you?
And I think a lot of you need to realize that that's something that you really need to pay attention to and think about. Starting today, think about it. Do I know how to grow my own food
grow
in case
something.
this gets worse?
Yeah.
Can I grow a tomato? Can I grow a watermelon? Can I grow some peas? Anything. Can I grow squash, zucchini? Something to help me to sustain myself during these hard times.
Yeah. Because it's important to grow your own food, control your own food, and to control your own food narrative. It's very important. No matter where you are, no matter if you're in the U.S. or you're abroad, no matter where you are, you need to learn how to grow something, whether it's beans, peas, tomatoes.
You name it.
You name it. You better grow something. Okay. So, well, we are just so grateful that you have taken the time to sit with us and to hear our story.
Yeah.
If you can give, if you can share a gift to help us.
That'll help us to continue to grow the great fruit and produce that we need to grow to help ourselves and the community to stay healthy. It is greatly appreciated.
Greatly appreciated.
Because if we don't keep doing this, this will be lost. This is something that we need to continue to pass down from generation to generation to generation. Learning how to be self-sustainable, grow your own food, take care of yourself. And that's something I think with your help, we can continue to do. So if you're able to donate, we greatly appreciate it. And we just greatly appreciate it.
We are so grateful and so thankful.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening to and hearing our story. We feel like it's in good hands. We feel like it's with people who are our family and who love us. And we appreciate you so much for watching my channel, for watching Milton's channel.
Yeah.
And so you guys, we love you so much and we are so grateful. So,
and like Synolve said, if you have questions or anything you want to talk about regarding USDA Farm, just drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
And we'll be glad to respond and have a great conversation. We like talking and answering
sharing
questions, sharing information we have. We have no problem with that. So if it's something you want to ask, and we're here to answer if we can answer.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Well, beyond the letter, we got so much more that we're going to do, and so much more is in store for us and for you. But reach out to a farmer, find a farmer, invest in a farmer, invest in farmland, invest in each other, invest in each other's businesses, buy black, invest in black businesses and black farmers, because if you don't have food to eat, you won't survive. And our babies need milk, they need good food. So be sure to invest. This is an urgent plea. It's very much needed. We were in the city, now we moved out on some farmland and acres, and so we'd like to be able to keep that. There been a lot of things going on, of course, with our family. My husband recently lost his job, and he shares it over on his channel. And so it's a lot going on within the community. A lot of farmers worked a second job because they knew that was the way they were going to fund their farm. If you didn't have the farm, if you didn't have that extra income, those extra dollars to farm, to sustain and invest in your own farm, then nobody was going to come save you. Nobody else was going to do it. You had to do it yourself. And so, and there have been so many job cuts and job losses, of course, here in the U.S. This started back in November. companies dumping employees. So we are asking for your help. This would greatly bless us and help us so much. We cannot thank you enough. Hugs, love, and kisses. Any other and big thanks for Milton. Any last words that you'd like to share, Milton, before we go?
Again, like she said, thank you guys so much. Support your farmers, support your local communities. Do whatever you can to ensure that they're getting fresh produce for you, for your family, for the schools, for the community, because we need to continue to stay healthy. We shouldn't let this cause us to eat unhealthy now. There are ways that we can prevent this, and one is learning to grow your own food, and another is partnering with your local farmer. Help them to continue to do the great things they do to sustain each and every community that they're in.
Absolutely. And make sure you are supporting farmers everywhere. Make sure you are supporting farmers, because this is how we get through it. This is how we survive. This is how we make it. Okay? Nothing can stop us. No one will stop us. We survived worse, and we're gonna keep on going. All right, I know you got this. I love you guys so much. Hubby and I are so grateful for you. You are such a blessing to us. Welcome. For those of you who are new, welcome to our family, and thank you for being a part of our family and our story. Thank you so much. This is Synolve.
Milton.
We're signing off. We're gonna see y'all in another video real soon. Will you come back for another video?
I'll come back for another video.
All right, y'all heard him. Okay, y'all heard that, right? All right. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and we're gonna see y'all in another video real soon. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.